first speaker. Right? Yeah. Where is... Oh! And he's one of our flag people, so if someone can alleviate his pose for a moment. First up, we have Ricky Irizarry speaking for us.
Hold on. Hi, everybody. I had to write this down. Can you hear me? Louder? All right, can you hear me now?
Yes!
All right, hi, everybody. Hi. How we doing? Good. I have a speech, I swear. I'm just trying to find it. All right, we got it. So what I'm going to speak on is something that I had the opportunity to say at the flags across Rhode Island last month. I prepared this speech last week because I wanted to share a piece of my personal life story. So, good afternoon. My name is Ricky Irizarry. I am of Puerto Rican and Cape Verdean descent, and I identify as a gay male of color. I was born and raised in New Bedford, Massachusetts, by a family who has always taught that it takes a village. I'm a product of teen pregnancy, which means from birth. I was stamped with the stigma of what society believes a black man is. This disposition, as an interracial man of color, meant that I was forced to work harder to make a presence of who I am and what I believe in. I spent a large portion of my childhood living in public housing, while my parents, now separated, carved out their paths. I count my blessings every single day because somehow throughout the process, I was able to keep both of my parents. But that's not the case for my younger brother or my cousin, or countless LGBTQIA plus black youth in our communities. They don't have parents. I came out as a gay man at the age of 17, and I was welcomed into the Providence community at around 19. It was around this time that I began to form lasting friendships and understand the meaning of what being in this together means. Unfortunately, this is also where I began to experience racism, homophobia, and transphobia. We, as queer people of color, would walk to our cars while being harassed by non-queer white men. We were called names like faggots, the N-word, homos, queers, and even worse. Heterosexual white men have chased us with their trucks while vandalizing the vehicles that are parked at the queer establishments. Luckily, none of us were physically harmed, us. That doesn't count for the countless people that have just gone out of their way to just go home, and then now all of a sudden they're missing. These acts have long-lasting effects on our emotional state, our mental health, and our overall well-being. At the age of 22, I began working for a nonprofit organization who served individuals with acute psychiatric diagnoses. It was this job that sparked my motivation to help others, fight what is right, and help put an end to stigma in how black men are viewed. About a year into this career path, I began to date and settle into a relationship. The next 4 years now feel like one long nightmare. One that also has long-lasting effects on our emotional and mental state. About 6 months into the relationship, the violence began. It started with verbal altercations that escalated into heated screaming matches. Then a shove here and a shove there led to 3 concussions. I thought I had everything I could want. I had a great house, I had a great job, I had a partner. I was basically blinded by things like vacations and clothes and shoes, and I'm not really proud to admit that. As time went on, these altercations, they continued to escalate. Our altercations have escalated into full-on physical fights. I was being choked until I couldn't breathe and physically dragged through my apartment. I reached out for help and I was told that you're a man, you should fight that. I reached out to law enforcement and they told me next time call somebody in your hood. I soon alienated myself from everything, my family, my friends, and all I did was fill that void with work. I managed to secure 2 promotions in the process. Ironically, the more I succeeded at work, the worse my home life became. I developed severe anxiety. I fell into a deep depression to where my therapist deemed me mentally unstable to work for over 3 months. I was out of work. I was depressed. I distanced myself from everybody. And not to mention, all the groups that were being referred to me by my therapist did not align with anything that I experienced in life. I was prescribed antidepressants, anxiety medications, and others to help me sleep. But the thing is, once I was able to go back to work, I still had to prove my sanity to be able to work the position that I busted my tail for 4 years. No, I'm sorry, 2 years. And I had to prove that I was sane enough to hold it. Being out of work that time, I needed a source of income. My lack of contributions to the household added fuel to the fire to where I was told, quote, find a second job or be homeless. I still wanted to fix things, so I searched around and I somehow found my way into the club life. I now had 2 amazing jobs, yet 0 happiness in my home. One bad fight leading to another, I finally defended myself after 4 years and I lost control. My roommate at the time, now great friend, pulled me into the bar and rounded up all of the employees, and they told me that I was worth it. They told me that if I didn't have a place to go, I had a place to go. They fed me. My community literally paid my bills outside of my salary, okay? They gave me shelter, they gave me love and compassion, and they never turned their back on me. I can't help but to think, what about other folks like me? Someone who is listening right now is in the exact situation. They have nowhere to go. They have no resources, no phone numbers to call. Some of us are not even lucky enough to have families from birth, let alone understand the concept of having a chosen family. Because reality is, we do not rely on law enforcement. Law enforcement has let us down time and time and time again. Law enforcement are showing us that we do not matter by not holding non-persons of color accountable, not accounting for the excessive aggression, the racial profiling, and the killings of our people, to include our trans siblings. I'm gonna fast forward to today. I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of your time.
You take it.
You're fine.
You take that time.
You bro.
I stand before you as a proud employee of that club still today. The last thing I want to speak on are the more recent social injustices that I've experienced. From members of our own community to non-LGBTQIA plus folks, profiles on social media, and most importantly, law enforcement like we just talked about. I have been accused and labeled as a person who solicits illegal substances because I wear my hat backwards. And I just resemble something that I guess that's what they perceive as that. I have gone into the Providence communities and made attempts to secure gigs as a performer, and I was laughed at and told that my art didn't match up. I've witnessed my closest friends be physically attacked. Folks are literally drawing weapons at us in open crowds and cops are looking away. Weapons. I've had patrons tell me that I look like a thug just standing here while enjoying a beer at one of our local bars. We have people speaking openly about their planned hate crimes. They're forming groups to sabotage our right to peacefully protest. The government is formulating excuse after excuse to justify these issues, and we are dying. We're being murdered in these streets, recorded on video cameras. Trans folks are disappearing. They're being followed, they're sexually assaulted and murdered, and nobody's being held accountable. In order to make, and this is how I'm gonna close, thank you so much. In order to make a change you say you want to make, you have to first identify the part you played. So we are asking that you take ownership over your lack of abilities to keep us safe and fix this. Stop treating us like we do not matter. Do not look at us as if we are beneath you or as if we have an inability to carry an intellectual conversation. In closing, regardless of your views, we are all fighting for what we believe is right, to ensure a safe and successful world for our upcoming leaders who are our youth. But our youth have spoken, and they have spoken loudly, and they have spoken peacefully.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So let's listen to what they're saying and implement the change.
Let's go.